What's going on, CDL fans? It looks like OpTic Texas is feeling even better with Huke in the starting lineup, and we have a little bit more information about the Pred situation, so let's talk about it. Let's start off by talking about the whole Pred situation again, since I'm sure that's a reason a lot of people clicked on this video. Obviously, as we know, OpTic has started to distance themselves from Pred, taking away his affiliate checkmark. Apparently, the OpTic Texas and OpTic Gaming pages unfollowing him on Twitter. And although this is not confirmation of saying Pred is no longer a part of OpTic, because he still does have OpTic Pred as his name, it still has OpTic in his bio on Twitter. But we did get on the Dope Check pre-show Ace saying that he's headed back to Australia and not sticking around in the US. And this was also tweeted out by Jacob Hale, who many know is one of the most reputable reporters in the scene. So with him also retweeting this and posting this, it makes me think that there is something behind this to make it probably true that Pred is at least headed back to Australia, although this does not say what he did or if he's still a part of OpTic.
I have a personal relationship with him. I reached out to him, but I will say that he is headed, he's heading back home basically. So pretty promptly, like sticking around or happy or any of this kind of stuff, he's heading back home. So
but we also got a post here on Reddit that almost was like official confirmation from OpTic themselves that they're not really affiliating themselves with Pred any longer. This came here from Marcus on Reddit, as I said. And as you can see by these images, at the bottom left, you could see Pred and Zinni rocking the OpTic merch, right? This is an overlay on the SCUMP watch party. And you see Pred, you see Zinni. They have SCUMP and Shotzi on the other side as well. But if we look at the other one, this first one is from last week. If you look at the one from yesterday on Friday, as you can see now, it is Zinni and it's still Pred. It's obviously still the same picture, but they edited over a hood and a hat onto him to almost make it unrecognizable that this is Pred, unless you obviously already knew what the picture looked like and you paid enough attention in previous weeks. And like I said, this is like obviously not OpTic making a statement about the situation, but clearly something on their official branding, their official overlays for their watch party, sort of taking away Pred and erasing him from anything OpTic related. But like I said, this is not proof of anything Pred did, right? This doesn't prove any of the rumors we've seen on Twitter as to what the reasoning for this is, but this definitely is slightly like unofficial confirmation from OpTic themselves that they are distancing the brand from Pred, and definitely is an interesting look for what's potentially happening behind the scenes. And we also saw the OpTic boys, of course, talk about this a bit on their watch party yesterday. I mean, the chat was filled with messages asking what's going on with Pred, asking for answers, begging for answers onto what's happening in the situation. And they straight up just basically said, like, you know, we see what you guys are saying. We're not going to speak on it. It's personal reasons. You're not going to get answers from us. I for sure think this isn't really a place for like SCUMP or Methods or Bose to make a statement on this, right? You would expect if anything came from OpTic, it would come from Hex or from the org page itself, obviously. But what I do think is obviously with them talking about this and not really wanting to discuss it at all definitely shows you that there's probably still a lot more going on behind the scenes. Now, are we ever going to get an answer? You don't really know, right? They could potentially never tell us anything, and I think that's a possibility, right? I would prefer them to probably say something about this, especially as we want to be looked at as a professional esports scene of professional players, right? And I feel like you need to PR this a little bit and have some sort of public response. It looks like it's going to be a minute while things are going on behind the scenes until we get an answer from OpTic. But the second part of this video that I really want to talk about is how good OpTic Texas looked with Huke yesterday. If you guys did not watch, I'm sure many of the people watching this video did watch. OpTic took down Seattle Surge 3-1. Sorry, Vancouver Surge. I'm going to do that a lot this year. And Huke looked good at 89 kills, 79 deaths, right? Plus 10 on the series. Almost 11,000 damage, which was the second most on his team, even more than Shotzi, who had 99 kills. And Huke really did his thing. In map 1, he dropped 38 in that close loss in the red card hardpoint. In map 2, 7-2. Map 3 kind of got farmed, but Dashy and Shotzi were carrying the load. And then in map 4, 25-14 out of Huke. Overall, OpTic, I mean, 6-1 in SND is a great turnaround for them in a mode that they struggle with. 3-1 in Control, their best mode, so kind of expected that to be a victory. But then nearly a 100-point club in map number 4. OpTic is looking good and feeling good with Huke, and we got a lot of word from the OpTic boys yesterday as to just how much they're enjoying playing with Huke. Shotzi saying the difference between him with Huke and Pred. He obviously said, you know, I was great with AG. They played really well together. They won a championship. But in terms of mesh, he feels like him and Huke actually mesh even better, and they play as one.
I feel like the biggest difference with him, and I told him this, was like, you just seem more just confident in your game. That applies to like his communication, to his spawn knowledge, to like the routes that he's taking. Like obviously me and AG, like don't get it twisted, like we definitely work good together. and we won. But in terms of like how we mesh, me and Kyler, it's very like if that makes sense.
Yeah,
right?
And then Kenny even saying in his post-game interview that he said Huke's comms are really, really good. And this is something we noticed a lot, I think, last year in Seattle Surge listen-ins, that Huke's comms and his leadership in-game definitely seems to have leveled up from previous years. And with someone like Kenny, right, who most would consider like a top 3 leader, top 3 comms guy in the game, to be saying something like this about how Huke is a step ahead than even him, Huke's calming things before Kenny can even say them, that just goes to show you that Huke is bringing even more than the pacing and the in-game, like the actual gameplay itself. He's bringing even the intangibles to the team, which is pretty interesting to see, especially because of how highly they're talking about him after only playing together for like 3 days.
The player on Kyler, I feel like Kyler, his comms have been crazy good for us. And honestly, like I said, I feel like for him, like anything I have to come, usually like he's already there, like a step ahead. And that's one thing I've gassed him on.
And also interesting here, I mean, Kenny straight up saying in his post-game interview, I think Kyler is the perfect player for us. How his pace really unlocks a bit more on the map. He fits perfectly into their system.
And out pretty well. But what's it like in the room?
I mean, I think Kyler's like the perfect player for us because he just fits right into our system and how we want to play the game. He's also taught us a lot about like how to play certain stuff. And I think in S&D, like a show today, like we can kind of do whatever we want because like our pacing is just so fast. But it's been a good vibe. We've been having good scrims, and I feel like Kyler, like I said, has been the best fit that we possibly could to use.
Great.
And another thing that I also really liked, this is like major shout out to the OpTic guys. They said they let Huke pick the kind of the maps and what they were going to play in their series versus Vancouver yesterday. Just kind of like not forcing Huke to adapt into their system and just sort of molding around him, which is also something that Nameless says during this interview, that Huke is a player that typically, if you want to get the best out of him, you have to adapt around him and not have him adapt around you. So OpTic, high praise, especially coming from a guy like Kenny, who I think has some of the most respect, some of the best IQ in the game. To be saying these things about Huke just goes to show you not only how good they're feeling with him, but just how good of a player Huke really is in Black Ops 6. So it's looking like it could be really good for OpTic heading forward. And shout out to Min Guy, who just subbed while I'm recording this video. But hey, you let me know, especially OpTic fans, let me know how you're feeling about the team, because I will say I've been trying to be positive about the situations, especially kind of give OpTic fans the glass half full approach on this, to be optimistic, because I really still think OpTic can be a top team in the game, especially with how good Huke looks in BO6. And yes, you're losing out, or you're missing out on your world championship player of last season, your superstar caliber player in Pred, but with everything going on behind the scenes, we'll still wait and see what ends up happening, right? I don't know what rumors are true or not true. I won't really comment on the rumors themselves. But what I will say is OpTic is looking good, and they're going to play again today. So we're going to see what they can do today with Huke once again. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to sub to the channel, drop a like for more CDL content like this, and hopefully I'll see you all in the next one.